Picture this. It's the week of April 15th. You are my friendly acquaintance. We run in the same circles, have the same close friends. You see me at a party. We exchange basic pleasantries. You take into consideration the two most commonly known facts about me, which is that I am a bookish swiftie. You recall a post you saw on Instagram while mindlessly scrolling and say, "Hey, isn't a new Taylor Swift album coming out on Friday? You must be super excited." I respond, "Oh yeah, the Tortured Pose department. I am so pumped to hear out, but the rollout's just getting exhausting at this point. Like, I'm so confused, man." This startles you. Confused? Oh, she's the singer that likes to have her fans do all those puzzles and unscramble words, right? I confirm. Yeah, but this time around is just really wild. Like, I feel like it's never gone this in-depth before. This intrigues you. Well, now I'm curious to hear more about this marketing. Is there a word search? Maybe like a little puzzle going on? Hey everyone, it's Nicole. Welcome to my channel, or welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, don't forget to subscribe. I like to post about books and music, mostly Taylor Swift. Today is April 18th, 2024, which is exactly one day before the Tortured Poets department comes out, but we're looking at more like a few hours. It comes out at 11 p.m. tonight in my time zone. This has been a crazy week. I feel like the amount of Easter eggs and theories and crazy references this time around is getting extreme, and I don't mean that in a bad way, but I am definitely feeling the overstimulation. I am wired. I got the idea to do this video after seeing this meme, and it got me thinking I would not be able to explain the amount of self-references and lore and Easter eggs and puzzles we've been going through just in the last week to someone who has not been here for a while. It felt like this album cycle had barely any promo, and then just in the last few days, it's had a ton. And this album is the first breakup album since Red, essentially. It's been over 10 years. I mean, you could make an argument for some of the songs on 1989, which was exactly a decade ago. So it feels like we are closing a chapter in this part of the Taylor Swift discography. To me, you have to know the shit that's been going on for the last 7 years to know what's going on with this rollout and with, I'm assuming, the lyrics. So now is not the time I would advise to become a Swiftie. I feel like Folklore was a super easy time to get into Taylor Swift because new storylines were being created. It was lyrically super easy to get into. And don't get me wrong, if you're interested in starting to listen to Taylor Swift, I'm sure you'll love how this album sounds, but like for anybody new, I imagine they'd have been struggling for the last week and would be struggling to understand what she's talking about on this record. This is getting insane. So you may be doubting me right now. You may be like, actually, I think The Lover Rollout was way more in-depth than Tortured Poets, or maybe some other album, but I am going to give you an example here and now. If a non-Swiftie did ask me exactly what is going on here and what has been going on in my life for the last week, and how I would just explain it to them in one take, off the cuff with no notes, and maybe then you'll believe me. To clarify, I have been a Taylor Swift fan since 2007. Whether or not that makes me here since debut or not, I'll let you decide. I know some people are super strict with the, if you haven't been here since debut's release week, then you haven't been here since debut. In my opinion, those people should be like borderline pre-debut. I feel like there are actually a select few Swifties that are pre-debut. That should be an era. But from what I've learned, they're all older than me and like followed her career locally back then. I did discover the debut album a little later in the era, but before Fearless nonetheless. It was crazy popular in the Bible Belt among my friends at school. Once Teardrops on My Guitar and Our Song became singles, and I'm always shocked when people say Taylor didn't become big until Red or 1989. In my experience, she stopped being as popular once Red in 1989 came out. I was like the only person out of my friend group who still liked her because it was country or bust over here, and I was struggling. I only liked her more and more as she left country, and everybody hated her in 2012. Speak Now era was the last time I had Swiftie friends in real life. Anyway, my point is I have seen some album rollouts and promos and Easter eggs leading up to release week for every album except debut. So I feel like I can provide a good demonstration for how crazy this is, unless you know your shit. So the word Zodiac Killer in this meme seemed a little extreme or wild to me at first, but then I remembered we're literally out here trying to piece together a sentence that's looking like, we hereby conduct this post-mortem examination. And that's when I got the idea for this video. And that is the sentence I will be using as my jumping off point, and that's as far as I've thought about this. How the hell do you explain that to someone? Well, I'm going to try. So here we go with no notes. I'm just going to word vomit this to you in the clearest way possible, trying not to sound insane, as if you have no idea what I'm talking talking about or referencing for the next however many minutes. I feel like I have to pull you closer in order to explain this to you. Okay, so we left off, you're asking me to party, like, so what is with all these Easter eggs? How is this working? Okay, so I show my friend at this party this Zodiac Killer meme. We get to talking about this. I explain how it's kind of funny because we're all trying to figure out this sentence right now that is looking a lot like, we hereby conduct this post-mortem examination. That sounds crazy, but you need to kind of know the backstory of this a little bit, which is that this album is going to be her first breakup album in like over a decade, arguably, and it's about a 6+ year long relationship. We did get one breakup song off of Midnight's kind of. It came out much later after the album actually came out, once the Midnight's era was kind of wrapping up. The tour had already started. It was once the breakup news was announced, and she kind of just dropped this. She had it up her sleeve, maybe hiding it until we actually knew what was going on and how she was going to be single again. And the song is called You're Losing Me, and the hook, the entire premise of this is that she's kind of comparing the death of this relationship to like her actually being dead. The hook is, I can't find a pulse, my heart won't start anymore. So we're over here with this sentence that's looking like, we hereby conduct this post-mortem examination. Basically how we pieced this together is that she's collaborating with Apple Music to do this weird thing where certain songs of hers have capitalized letters throughout that spell out a message. Every day this last week we have been piecing together those letters, so we'll get like a clue on Instagram where it's like, okay, today's word of the day is ready, and the little Instagram reel has some kind of hint in it telling you which song to go look at on Apple Music that has the capitalized letters. The first day the song was called Glitch, which we figured out because the like video was glitching a little bit. Another day I think it was We Were Happy. We knew that because there was like this tiny symbol in the corner of the reel that was like related to Fearless, which is the album We Were Happy was off of. So people have been finding all these capitalized letters, making the words out of them, and if what we believe is true, which is that they're in order like every day, the first day it was we, then it was hereby conduct this post-mortem. We actually got the word post-mortem. Like, this is where she's going with it. I'm assuming it's going to end in examination, so I guess this next album, Tortured Poets, is going to be about the death rattle of this relationship, it actually ending, it being maybe like a rebirth, Phoenix rising from the ashes. That's also a line from You're Losing Me. And another thing that's going on is that there are QR codes on random buildings all over the world, and we have to find all of them. She's kind of trying to keep us occupied until Friday, and there have been ones in Europe, I believe, South America, Asia, I think Australia, and whenever you scan this QR code, it gives you a letter. Surprise, surprise. And we have to kind of put them into this like hangman situation, and it's spelling out something that's starting to look like post-Fortnite. There's a song called Fortnite on the record, not post-Fortnite, so I don't know where that's coming from or what that means. If it's related to post-mortem, who knows? But basically, we only have a few letters left, and people are getting really angry at everyone for not looking hard enough because we want to figure this out quickly, and people are trying to make predictions for where the last few QR codes may be, what cities they might be in. Since the US only had one QR code on a building in Chicago, people are wondering if the last few are maybe somewhere else in the United States. People are theorizing maybe Kansas City because that's where her new football boyfriend is from. He plays on the Kansas City Chiefs. This has so many layers. I hate this. And people are also wondering if it might be somewhere in Florida. We don't know exactly where, because there is a song on the upcoming album, Tortured Poets Department, that is called Florida. So people online are getting very aggressive and angry at Floridian Swifties for not looking hard enough for this QR code on some random building, who knows where. I saw somebody literally yelling how Floridian Swifties need to get off their alligators or whatever it is they're doing down there and go find this QR code. In my opinion, I think being on the alligator might get you there faster, but I don't know. It also sounds kind of distracting. Anyways, people mean business. Swifties mean business. Yelling at each other to go look at random buildings. Put your back into it. Put some pep in your step. Go find these last few goddamn QR codes. What else? Okay, so randomly, we got this thing through Spotify that is the Spotify Tortured Poets Department pop-up library in Los Angeles. It's outside of the Grove, and we were all wondering, like, what the hell is this going to be? Is it going to be some kind of museum? Is Taylor going to show up? And anybody who was able to come can kind of just show up anytime from 8 a.m. to like 5 p.m. or 6 p.m. or something. And this is going on for like days, like that 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. time period for like 3 days. You can go and just check it out. And we finally got pictures of what that looks like. And it's basically just this like photo booth looking thing that's a library outside of the Grove in LA. And it's a library. It's covered in all these different books. Some of them have track titles on the spines, which makes sense. And then we've got all these crazy random props that definitely mean something, but we can't quite figure out what it's supposed to mean. There's a gold cage, which kind of sounds like a line from Reputation, which was 4-5 albums ago. Gold cage, hostage to my feelings, which was also about this same relationship she's writing this breakup album about, but that was when they were first falling in love. Is that like, oh, this gold cage is like, you know, she was trapped. It's also interesting to note that she used a gold cage in the Look What You Made Me Do music video, but that cage kind of served as a reference to her old label who had her kind of trapped in a bad contract, so I don't understand how this is going to play into this breakup album. Nonetheless, the fact that it's gold is also very interesting because she historically has described this relationship as gold like daylight, in contrast to how she once believed love would be burning red. Back in the Red era, her last breakup album in 2012, she progressed to the Lover album. She was like, oh my god, this love is so amazing and consistent and steady. It's golden like daylight. She's been describing it as gold, and suddenly it's a gold cage. She has to like wrap up that theme, right? So I'm wondering if she's like, oh, it was gold, but it was a gold cage. We also have this random jar of puzzle pieces. I have absolutely no idea what to think about that one. Maybe it's a lyric reference, we'll figure out later. And the one that really throws me for a loop is this peace sign that also we think means like number 2. This could mean so many different things, but this has been appearing everywhere. She's like at the Eras tour doing this. She announced her album at the Grammys doing this, and now there's like a statue of a hand doing this. I'm kind of wondering if it has to do with the song Peace from Folklore, which kind of showed the cracks in this relationship, where the main premise was like, would it be enough if I could never give you peace? And she has her answer now. I guess it wasn't. This guy she was dating, who she broke up with, kind of wanted a quieter life that she couldn't give him, and it's devastating that her question got answered, but what the fuck? What does this mean? Is one of the songs going to be referencing peace? Why is it so tied in with like the two? I don't even know how to elaborate because I don't even know what I don't know. Another thing, we've got this statue over here of Diana, and there's a fan theory that this statue actually crumbled from years of like neglect while it was waiting to be taken to London, which is where her ex-boyfriend was from. And this all happened in the 6th century. It was a 6-year-long relationship. A line from You're Losing Me, which is the only breakup song we have prior to this album being released, did say I wouldn't marry me either. Maybe she was kind of waiting for a commitment that didn't happen. We also have this book in the center of this pop-up library that has lyrics on it that change every day, and one of the lines was, even statues crumble when they're made to wait. The crumbling statue from neglect, misuse, whatever. I'm really wondering if we're going to get an explanation of the gold cage. Maybe the lyrics in this book will be referencing the various props in the library and it'll all start to make sense later. As of right now, it doesn't make any fucking sense. What else? We have a calendar on a little nightstand table thing in this library that says Friday, December 13th, which is Taylor Swift's birthday. But since it's a Friday, does that mean something is coming? Is it Reputation Taylor's version? Because she's re-recording all her first 6 old albums since those were under a different label and she doesn't own the masters to them, which means she basically can't control that music. God, to explain all of that also would be such a fucking nightmare unless somebody knows how master recordings work. I don't even want to think about it. What else? Okay, so there's a psych ward on her TikTok, or what looks like a psych ward. She posted this promotional video where we were kind of exiting the Midnights era, her last album, and going into the Tortured Poets department room, but it's looking a lot like a psych ward. There's like a very sanitized looking pure white hallway with no artwork on the walls, no nothing. We go into this room that's also completely white. Psych ward. The only thing I can think that this might be referencing is a song from Midnights. It was towards the end of the album. It was like a bonus track. It did come out before You're Losing Me, but it's called Hits Different, and one of the very last lines in that song is, I hear your key turn in the door down the hallway. Is that your key in the door? Is it okay? Is it you? Or have they come to take me away? Is that what's going on? Are we seeing like a bridge over here? Oh, also there was another reference in the Tortured Poets department pop-up library of a fountain pen on that same desk that had the little calendar, and what this could signify is that the lyrics on this album predominantly or entirely are written in the fountain pen lyric genre. She's classified all her lyrics in these different genres where it's like glitter gel pen songs like Shake It Off that are really fun and maybe a little bit more shallow, fountain pen songs, which are most of her songs, like All Too Well, which is like a poetic personal sort of song, and then we have quill pen songs, which are songs like Ivy, which is like super poetic, probably taking inspiration from like poets of the past, maybe a lot of nature references, just stuff that sounds like Emily Dickinson's great-grandmother might have written it by candlelight. So we're thinking that this pen means that this album will be in the lyric genre of fountain pen. What else do we have going on? There is a countdown. You know, you mentioned, oh, does she do little word scrambles and countdowns? Yes, there is a countdown on the website. We have no fucking idea what that one's for because it does not coincide coincide with the release of the album. We're thinking maybe it's merch. I don't know. She already released signed copies, which sold out earlier this week. She surprise dropped those. So this countdown could literally be anything, and everybody's having an anxiety attack over it. People are yelling at the Floridians to get off their alligators. People are wondering if this is going to be a double album drop, potentially Reputation. I don't think she's going to do that. Another huge reach is that we think maybe this too means like, oh, an album and then maybe a book, because the book marketing on this record has been insane. If we get a book, that would be amazing. Maybe a book of poetry, like stuff that didn't turn into songs. But we also have been catfished in this way before, because there was a music video once Red Taylor's version came out, and her character in that music video was like writing a book, and it was a huge plot point there, and we were wondering like, oh, is this some kind of like hint at her eventually potentially putting out a book? We know she's writing a movie. I would love to get a book by her. I'm just not getting my hopes up, but that could be what the two means. Two pieces to this, an album and a book. Yeah, it's been crazy. I can't sleep even if I wanted to. I'm constantly thinking about this. It's giving me anxiety at this point. We've got a psych ward, a post-mortem examination, fortnight examination? What does this mean? Is there a book coming? Are we about to get a merch drop or a music video or a second album announcement? Because she did do a part 2 to Midnights a few hours after the original album dropped, where it was kind of like an extended EP version of that. Are we gonna get the Tortured Poets department and then a post-mortem edition a few hours later with some extra songs once the rigor mortis has set in? These are sentences I have seen online as theories. What is going on in the psych ward? And I feel like that might be the exact question you have going through your head right now. And that's the Tortured Poets Department album rollout and lore. So far, this felt so unnatural as someone who was used to getting in front of this camera and just assuming you know damn near everything that I do. Like, this felt almost wrong or condescending. Like holding your hand and walking you through this. That's not what we do here every week. It just felt not right, knowing I'm talking to my Swiftie audience and not like an actual local friend. I had to picture someone else. I couldn't picture you guys. That was one of the weirdest feelings. I don't like being aware of myself in this way. I like more of an if you know type vibe. Anyway, if you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. That would really help me out and push my videos out to more people. If you have any requests, please leave them in the comments below. I do like doing out of the box type videos like this. They are my favorite to film and edit, so if you have any wild requests that you've never seen anyone else doing, leave them below. If you want to follow me on my Instagram, it is right here. And if you want to follow me on my TikTok, that is right here. I will see you all next week for, I think, a Lana video, and I hope you have an amazing day. Bye, guys.